everybody has a story. Everybody has, even if you think it's the most minuscule story or you think it doesn't matter, it does. It makes a difference. And hopefully somebody can feel not so solitary. It's such a touching way, I think, to carry on somebody's memory. And it's taking solitary and turning it into solidarity.
Stephanie, I'm really glad that you're here today. Thank you for
Well,
being
thank
willing
you.
to share your story. Like,
Absolutely.
I think there are so many people that need to hear what we all have to say. So thank you
Absolutely.
for stepping up. That's
Well, thank you for having
really
me. You're
awesome.
so much fun. How could I not?
Girl. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Who is Stephanie? Like, what do you like to do? Your family? Just tell me about Steph.
Um, I like to crochet, obviously. I do a lot of that. I love animals. We have a house full. That's a dog at the door now. So we have a house full of dogs. We have a couple cats. It's my husband and I. We're empty nesters. We have a son and a daughter. And he's in the Army. So he's down at the base in North Carolina, and she's local going to college. And that's about it. I was a nurse for 25 years. I suffered an injury 5 years ago this June that prevents me from being able to do nursing anymore. So I dedicate a lot of my time to taking care of my animals and crocheting.
That's right. Okay. All right. So, how old were you when you started crocheting?
I was 8. I was 8 years old. Do you want me to just elaborate and keep
Yeah,
going, or you want to stop
yeah.
me and give me
Let's
some? Okay,
flow.
all right,
Let it flow. Let
all
it
right.
flow.
Wasn't sure what you want to do.
Yep.
I was 8. We, I come from a very dysfunctional family. I mean, don't we all at some extent for the most part? But
Yeah.
I lived on and off with my grandparents, and my grandfather, he spent his life with the United States Air Force. He was the leader of one of the Air Force bands his whole life. And so he used to read a lot. So I did a lot of reading, and he did a lot of crochet. He taught himself how to crochet when he was having to go overseas and play for the band and do the whole band thing for the troops overseas and stuff. So when he gets stuck on these Navy ships with nothing to do, because they're Air Force, so they just went along for the ride.
Right.
Then he would crochet. He taught himself actually how to crochet. And
I,
so when I was about 8 years old, he said, let's teach you how to crochet. And I was like, okay, why not?
okay, cool, Gramps. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so
So
wait a minute. This was
back way before men crocheted. Yes.
that's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Like that
Yes. Very
was
much.
way out of the that's awesome.
Yes. He was, being a musician, I guess, crochet, whether people realize it or not, it's such a creative outlet. It really is. It really is an art. I mean, people
It
have
is.
so many different directions you can go and I mean just so much with it. So, being at home, I guess that was his creative outlet, at home. Because at work he was able to go to work and be creative and then come home and be creative. So yeah, it was. I tell people that, and they're like, "Your grandfather?" I'm like, "Yeah, my grandfather."
Well, I think society has changed a lot in the last, however
Yeah,
many years
yeah,
and decades, a lot. So even now, there's still this stigma of that's really that's a girl thing, or
yeah,
I mean, we're breaking that quite a
yes,
bit. But
yes,
back then,
absolutely.
that
Yeah,
was pretty substantial. Like you're
yeah. And can you imagine? I mean, I never got to speak to him about it, and like really have any kind of in-depth conversations. You tend to take things for granted because they're so
that's right.
normal to you, and I wish I had, because can you imagine he's teaching himself how to crochet on this ship, while he's riding along. What kind of flack he got from all the other guys, and I'm sure the Navy guys picking on the Air Force guys,
Yes, the men,
because
because
there's always a
that happens
rivalry going
anyway.
on. So I'm sure that was probably pretty interesting at the time. But yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was him.
That's pretty awesome. That is
Yeah.
pretty awesome. So, tell me a little bit more about your grandpa because he seems like a pretty amazing man.
He, like I said, he retired from the Air Force. He spent his whole career in the Air Force with the Air Force Band. And so he did that. And then when he retired, he did just odd jobs here and there. He painted houses, again, creativity, even though it was just painting a wall. So he painted houses. He was a free spirit. Oh, he did all the cooking. My grandmother, I'm from Alabama. My grandmother worked for the state of Alabama. And so she'd work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And he'd do all the cooking. Once he retired, he did all the cooking and stuff for her, and just kind of, that's what they did. So he was ahead of his time with everything like that.
Yes,
Yes,
I see. That's
he was
awesome.
pretty comfortable with himself, which is
Making
really good.
boundaries all over the place. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
So he did that. He taught me the granny stitch. He taught me how to just do one giant continuous granny square.
okay.
And then yeah, he taught me. I didn't know how to read patterns. I didn't know how to do any of that. And then I'd put it down, as you do, because I'm 8. So I put it down. And then fast forward, I became a nurse. And when I was 20, 21, somewhere in there, I think I was 21. I was 21. He got diagnosed with cancer, and he was terminal. So I had gone down to visit because I had moved up north in the interim. And so I went down to visit him, and he said, there's 2 things I want. I want to die at home, and I want to die pain free. And you're the nurse. You're going to make this happen. So I said, okay. So about 2 weeks before he passed, then, I got a call from my aunt, my mom. They said, you need to come down and take care of your grandfather. We can't do it. And hospices was involved, but they're not there all the time.
No, they're not.
So I did that. And while I was sitting there, my aunt knew how to crochet, and she had crochet. And, I was his sole caregiver. So for 24 hours, 7 days a week, I was next to his bedside. And so I said, well, let me pick this back up again. She goes, okay. So took her like 2 seconds. Here's how you do the granny stitch. So I sat there and,
Right.
and picked it back up.
Like riding a bike.
Yeah, it was. It really is. So I only knew the double crochet. I didn't even know it was called a double crochet. Who knew?
Oh, wow.
So I ended up coming back, and some coworkers, I worked second shift, and when we would have downtime, I actually worked for nuns. Hard to believe, but as a nurse. And so when we had downtime at the end of the night, the nuns would let us watch TV, and I had coworkers who crocheted. And so I, came back crocheting. And so I said, how, what's this called? What I kind of picked their brain, because this is way before YouTube, and,
That's right.
this is 30 years ago. So no YouTube, no learning how to do it and stuff. So one of them taught me how to read patterns. And so I went to the craft store, bought a pattern book, and it was a Ripple Afghan pattern book, and taught myself from there, and then have just taught myself everything else since. Yeah, pretty
That's
much.
awesome. So you
Yeah.
had like a community, a crochet community while you were at work.
Yeah, kind
That's
of.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
but it was yeah, I guess so. It was nice. It was nice to be able to carry on his legacy. I think that people don't realize that. It's kind of how you got into your crochet, with your mom passing and stuff. And it's such a touching way, I think, to carry on somebody's memory. And people don't realize they're even doing it. I think, oh yeah, my aunt taught me, this person taught me, and they don't realize what a gift it is, and how much it keeps a part of that person alive. You can have an object from a person. I have a piano from my grandmother on the other side, and it's nice. It's childhood memories attached to that piano. But with me being able to crochet and use my hands, and put you're thinking while you're doing it, so it's therapeutic, because you're thinking about, you're letting your stress out. You're thinking about different people maybe you haven't thought about for a while. You're thinking about, people you've loved and lost. You're thinking about mistakes you've made in your life, and going, what was I thinking? You
what
kind
was
of
I
go
thinking?
through all
How
of it.
can I not ever do that again?
So yeah, right. Like, why didn't somebody tell me that? And people are like, you wouldn't have listened anyway. So, I don't think people realize how therapeutic it is. But especially when and even if you're the first person starting the process. So let's say no one in your family ever taught you how to crochet, or no friend ever taught you how, and you're that first person who discovers a YouTube video or whatever, and then you go on and you pass that on to someone else, even if it's through what you've made, then you're carrying on that memory and that legacy. And so what ended up happening was 5 years ago, we were down in Georgia. Actually, my son was graduating from airborne school. Yeah, Georgia, which is where I was born. Actually, I don't know if you knew that,
I
but
didn't.
yeah, I was born.
We're
I
in
was
the
born
South
on
a little bit, but wow.
Valdosta, Moody Air Force Base. I don't know if you know where that's at, but yeah. So anyway, we were down there for him graduating from airborne school, and we were going out to dinner the night before he graduated, and I actually tripped on the sidewalk. I wasn't drinking, but like, I
Let's
sometimes
just
just,
put that out there.
I just trip
Disclaimer.
randomly. Let me just put this out there. I was not drunk. I hadn't even gotten to the restaurant yet. I was trying to get there, but that didn't happen. So anyway, I fell. Long and the short of it, I shattered my hand. Go to the emergency room. They say your hand shattered, but you're going back up north. So see the doctor after this graduation tomorrow when you get back in, your state. So I said, okay, no problem. So to make a very long story short, they did surgery, and they put a pin in my hand. And when they did it, I woke up, and I've had lots of broken bones, by the way, because like
Are
I'm
you
clumsy.
clumsy? Are you
Listen,
naturally clumsy?
I broke a bone in my foot walking past my old coffee table one time, and it was in the middle of my foot, so much that the doctors didn't believe me when I told them, so they kept sending people in to ask if I was safe at home, cuz like who breaks their foot walking past a coffee table?
Steph does.
I do. I do. That too. Like if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So
Wow.
anyway, so long and the short of it, when the anesthesia wore off, I started having the most extreme pain I've ever had in my life. I mean, childbirth was nothing. So over the next 6 weeks, I had this just a pain. My hand was swollen up to here. I had a pin up in here, and we spent the next 6 weeks trying to figure out what's going on. The doctor kept telling me there was nothing wrong. I was like, something's very wrong. Went to Philadelphia for a second opinion because I'm outside of Philly. And they said, we know exactly what's wrong with you. And so, long and the short, I got diagnosed with a very rare condition called CRPS. It's complex regional pain syndrome. And essentially, my nervous system is telling my brain that I am shattering my hand 24/7. So my nervous system is sending that to my brain, and my brain is sending pain signals to my hand saying, oh my gosh, you're in danger, you're in danger, you're in danger. So it changed my life. And I was like, this is what my hand looks like. I'm going to try to do this with camera. That's my hand put together. So my husband now calls me Sloth. That's my
Oh,
nickname because he calls me the three-toed sloth, and that's not to be offensive to anybody. That's literally just because we laugh. You got to laugh.
that's
There's some
right.
things that happen in life that you can either crumple and cry, or you can laugh and try to make the best of it. And that's what we did, because I had been a nurse at that point for 25 years. It stopped my life. It stopped who I was, who I identified as a nurse. And so it's been 5 years of all kinds of therapy and doctors and specialists and this, that, the other. But I have told literally every single therapist, every single doctor, I have told everybody, I have to keep crocheting. And because it's the one thing that this is not going to take away from me, and it's not going to take away my grandfather's memory. It's all I have left of him. So if
Right.
I can keep doing that every single day, and I can work through the pain and ignore the pain as best as I can, you're not taking that away from me. That was my attitude. So much was taken from me at that point that not happening. Crochet is the one thing. So when people say, "Oh, crochet saved my life," and people go, "I think you're a bit dramatic,"
No,
it really does. It's a therapy.
on so many different levels.
Yeah, for so many different people who have so many different stories.
That's
And so um, what I have found over the last 5 years is I am so grateful. You know, as a nurse, when I would talk to patients about, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that post op or whatever, then it would be, if you don't use it, you lose it. And that is the big thing. And I'm so grateful I pushed through, and I continue to push through the pain, because I don't want to lose complete use of my hand. And recently, we've done some activities in my household that have shown that, thank God I was doing this for the last 5 years, because I'm so much weaker than I think I am. In my head, I can conquer the world. In reality, probably not. So, it's been very eye opening with that. But yeah, so that's my crochet story. I'm going to do it until I just can't. So I know people have arthritis. Oh, and that's the other thing. Nobody knew what to do with me. It's this rare condition. Nobody knows what to do with you. And when you have a chronic condition like that, all of a sudden, you don't know what to do with yourself. But we have adapted. I love the Clover Amore hooks. They're my favorite. But I actually bought these. I don't have any close at hand, otherwise I'd show you. But like the big foam pencil holders. They're pencil grips, but they're made of just foam. So like I stick my hook down in that so that I can crochet like this. So that,
That's
and it's
been
helped
helpful.
tremendously, tremendously. So, even with, like I said, arthritis and different things, sometimes you just, you have to adapt. You have to do what you have to do. And that's what we did.
Crochet has been really transformational. I mean, even physically therapeutic,
Yes.
physically, emotionally, you know, mentally,
Yes.
because we're not going to get into the mental
Oh,
now, like
yeah.
all
Yeah.
the way around.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Okay, so
Yes.
would it be safe to say that crochet is life?
Crochet is life. Yeah. Absolutely.
I,
Absolutely. No drama there. So it's really not. And it's so fun to watch people like you and stuff bring people together, because crochet obviously is a solitary, it's a solitary. So you're people like you, which I love, because I love your enthusiasm with it, and you're just trying to bring people together, and it's taking solitary and turning it into solidarity. And
solidarity. I
yes,
love that.
that is what you're doing. That's why I stumbled upon you,
Wow.
like a couple weeks ago, and I was
I
like,
need
oh
to
my
write.
God, I love her vibe. I love her vibe.
Where's my thing?
So listen, I'm not an extrovert. I don't talk about this to people. I'm very private. We actually got rid of my Facebook and my social media when this happened. So that's how private I became with everything. So yeah, but I agreed to do this because I was like, you know what? Hopefully somebody can feel not so solitary.
Well, I think that's amazing. I think that's amazing. And your story is very inspiring too. It's not I, on so many levels, because you are carrying on the legacy of your grandfather, who was groundbreaking in and of
Yes.
himself. So
Yes.
that alone is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And you carrying that on is like, I think that's one of the things that I personally love about crochet. It can't be done with a machine. Like, it has
Right.
to be human done, which is amazing.
Right.
But
I
the
mean,
ability
technically it can, but it's not. It's not
how
the same. Well, because they have the machine. Well, you pick up stuff like crocheted looking hats at the store, and you're like, oh, look, that's nice. So technically, but no, it's not. You're
mm,
right.
yeah. I mean,
No.
I know you can with knit. And if
Yeah.
I'm wrong, please, if anybody's watching and knows that you can in fact do crochet with a machine, please let me
Yeah.
know.
Listen,
I'm not
don't
trying
ask
to
me. I wouldn't know the
yeah,
first thing. I wouldn't know.
yeah,
I
I'm
don't
not
even have
trying
one of
to
those
spew
knitting machines or
forth
anything.
spew
Yeah.
forth
Well, don't
all
ask me.
knowledge. But
I know
to my
nothing.
knowledge, at
Yeah.
the time of this recording, we're just gonna be silly. But no, I don't think you can. So that's really neat, which means it has to be passed down.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
In order to learn, like, you have to
Yes, yes.
Has to
I
be
see
passed
what you're
down.
saying. Yes.
We're in
So
this
even if
age.
you're somebody who learned from YouTube, then yes,
That's
it's
right.
passed from, yes, it's a
Still
very human
passed.
connection. Yes,
That's right.
absolutely.
Which I
Yes,
absolutely love. But also because it is so therapeutic
yes,
in so many different areas. I mean, you are a prime example of that because it's gone so, it's amazing how when you start, you think it's going to be one way and it turns out completely and totally different. Like
are you
when
talking about life?
life, well, crochet is life.
Absolutely,
Crochet is life.
absolutely.
But let me ask you a question. When you first started, way back when your grandfather was teaching you,
Hmm.
what drew you to want to even try it? Like what was it that drew you to the crochet in the first place?
Honestly,
Yes.
he we had show and tell day at school. And I changed schools a lot as a child. And so I wanted to go up there and do something different. I wanted to show people something different. I didn't want to show them, like, oh, look at the Barbie that I got, or you know what I mean, that type of stuff.
Yes.
And so I said, can you show me this? This is what I want to do for show and tell. And he was like, let's do it. Let's do it.
That's
So,
cool.
so that kind of started it. And yeah, I
Okay,
did
so
that.
you
And
took after him in the whole lead the way and change things up a little bit.
I don't do well in boxes. Let's just say that. Nobody in my
Shatter the
family
box.
does well in boxes.
Stop
We
it.
don't fit well in
No,
boxes. We're just
no,
kind of all over the place, and that's okay. That's okay. We accept that.
that's right. So what did you find what have you found most difficult about crochet and what did you do kind of to how did you overcome those difficulties with crochet?
um, the addiction to buying yarn is difficult.
You just ripped out my
Because I'm
soul
like, I
just
don't
then.
need any more yarn, but this is a really good sale, and like stuff like that. No, that's a joke. I don't know because I really, if I find an obstacle in it, I really just try to overcome it as best as possible. You know what I mean? So I'll research it. I'll teach myself how to do it. Like I like to move on. Recently I discovered. I was talking to you earlier, but about quilt fusion, which is where you take quilting, cotton quilt blocks, and then you crochet them an edge around them, and then you crochet all the blocks together. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to sew. But I have a
You're
friend who
gonna
knows how to
learn.
sew, and guess what? I'm going to learn today. So because all you need is a straight stitch, right, on the sewing machine. So I said, can you come over for like 10 minutes? Teach me how to thread this machine up. I was using my daughter's machine. Teach me how to thread this machine up. And yeah, just a straight around just to get the edges, sewn together. And she's like, yeah, no problem. So we did that. That's my new endeavor right now, is I'm trying along with other projects. But um, yeah, I don't really see, because of the challenge with the hand and having to adapt the equipment myself and figure out how can I still use this equipment with adaptation. I don't really I just look at things as a challenge, I guess, and go, okay, it's a challenge, let's overcome it. Yeah, there's not a lot
Okay.
that. Now I've run into some bad patterns, I'll tell you that. I bought some that are poorly written that I'm like, I'm never going to figure this out. And I'm not a good follow a video person with the video
Oh,
tutorials.
really?
Yeah, I've
Okay.
never done a video tutorial.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
but
So, what advice do you have for somebody that is just starting their crochet journey? What advice would you have for
I would say hang in there. Hang in there, don't give up. You'll get the crochet bug. It's going to bite you. You'll have you'll lose your crojo where you're just having some times that you're like, wah, wah, can't find anything I want. But you'll have times that you have crochet-itis where you go from project to project and project and you don't finish any. Do stuff that you like to do. This is my biggest advice. Don't waste your time on, I've wasted time on projects before that just I didn't look forward to them. I felt like obligated to do it. I think that's why I always give all my stuff away. I've never sold anything. I've never had a desire to, only because that pressure would cause me to not want to do it. Do you know what I mean? So
Okay.
don't waste your time. Frog the yarn out, use it on something else. Don't waste your time. You have a yarn that you don't like. I've done this, bought yarn, and I feel guilty because I'm not made of money. I don't have a lot of money. So I feel guilty, like I bought this yarn and I spent this money, but then I'm like, but you know what? There's a good thrift store near me that I know is a good thrift store. It's not all about money for them and stuff. So I'll bag it up and take it there because I feel bad that I spent the money, but there's somebody else out there
Who will
who's
love it?
yeah, who's gonna be able to use it and who will love it. And it's not me. So and
Yeah.
that's okay. You
And not
have to give
every yarn.
yourself permission. That's the biggest thing.
That's
As
right.
a new crocheter, give yourself permission and everything doesn't have to be perfect. You are your own worst critic, you are your own worst judge, and you are waste more time because I don't know if you're sitting there thinking, oh, if somebody sees this, but is somebody really going to see it? Are they? You know what I mean? And if they do, are they really going to criticize it? Probably not. You know. So yeah,
Okay.
don't beat yourself up. Life's too short. Just go with it. Have fun. Enjoy it. Use it for the therapy that it is.
That is awesome. Okay, you answered just right there like three of the questions that I had for
Because
you.
I'm in your mind.
You
I'm in your
are
mind
like
party.
this. Oh. But wait, was it
That's because
Jungle
it's kind of
Book
look at the
or
color of the
the
shirts. That's
Trust?
why.
Oh yeah, we're
See, I
twinsies,
know. It's not even planned. Look at that. Fun
right?
times.
Great minds think alike. We think.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if I have any other questions that you haven't already answered. Um, okay, I've got a couple actually.
Okay.
The first one is kind of, I don't know. If this doesn't make sense, let me know and I'll see if I can explain it a little bit different because my brain doesn't
Okay.
always work right. But through the years, how has crochet helped to mold you into the person that you are today?
Um, it's taught me self-forgiveness because again, you can't be perfect. You have to go with it. You have to accept the imperfections. And so, if you relate that to yourself, then it's taught me to really just accept those imperfections and go with it. It's kept me calm. When I did work, it was very. I'd have to get like an hour in every single night. If I didn't, I was gonna. It was my release. It's a great stress release. You
I
know.
start my day with 2 hours
Yeah.
of crochet,
Yeah.
so I get
Have
it.
to. Have to. So yeah, it prevented me from killing anybody. And it got me through my kids' teenage years. That
I wish I would have had that.
where I could go and hide with the needle because it's the thing where you go, the kids they were teenagers, they were trying to tell me something, and then you start counting out loud. Like you're really not counting your stitches, but if you count out loud, they knew. Like they didn't realize what I was doing, but like, well, I did that a lot when they were teenagers. I counted out loud. Because they know, like, don't mess your count up. So then they would walk
I
away
know
and
that's
be like,
right.
dodge that bullet for now.
Don't mess
So
up my count. It's not
yeah.
safe for you. So
Yeah. Meanwhile, I was fake counting just to get through it, but it's all good. I joke. They were good kids sometimes.
teenagers are teenagers, though.
Sometimes.
That's like toddlers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
They're
absolutely. I love
amazing. But
toddlers.
oh my
I
goodness.
loved when my
It's
kids
my
were toddlers.
favorite. That's my
Really?
favorite age. Toddlers.
Oh, me too. Because the wonder, like they're into
Yes.
everything, everything. And the
Yes,
wonderment that is there. They just have to be part of it all. I
that's
love that.
right.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
enjoyed that stage.
Me
Yeah.
too.
More
I'm
than
loving it.
teenagers. Yeah.
Watching my grandson. I'm loving it. I'll tell you,
Yeah.
what, I think grandkids are so much better. Not better than kids, because I don't want my kids to think that
Right, right.
they're not as good as their children, but it's different because
Yeah.
as a parent, your job is to redirect and teach and raise these responsible, amazing adults. And with grandkids, your only job is to thoroughly enjoy every little bitty
Yes.
aspect of them.
Yes. Yes.
Like, yes, there's redirecting and there's teaching because that's just life. I teach the neighbors whenever I see them. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because we
Yeah.
learn from, as people, we learn from one another. Hence the whole crochet thing, right?
Yes.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, it's just to simply enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's like God's way of saying, "Oh, thank you for not killing your kids."
Yes.
Just saying, love grandbaby. Okay, back to
That is funny.
crochet. Oh my gosh. So, um, let's see. I think we've already talked about that too. You are really good at answering numerous questions, all with one.
You're welcome.
I'm digging it. I'm digging it.
I planned that. Not really. Y'all need to understand, Marty and I did not talk about any of this ahead of
No,
time.
we talked literally for the very first time last night.
And it wasn't even about the questions.
No, because I didn't. I put together my questions like maybe an hour before we recorded this. So it was.
But I do encourage people out there who might see this video to get with Marty and do this, because everybody has a story. Everybody has, even if you think it's the most minuscule story or you think it doesn't matter, it does. It makes a difference. And
It does.
I enjoy hearing other people's stories. I love hearing where they come from, and what they're about, and how they got into this, because it really is, it's a specific niche. So, yeah,
It
I
is.
encourage people to do it.
And I think one of the things is like, okay, so what I've noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong, um, but in my life, crochet has really opened my eyes on so many different things. Like, yes, it is crochet, but it relates to life in so many different ways. And when you hear somebody's story, it's like sometimes the pieces connect like that. What did you say? Where did I put it? Oh my gosh. From solitary to solidarity,
Yes.
right? That was massive. So all kinds of things that you can learn and glean and take, little nuggets of life that you can
Hmm.
get from somebody else telling their story.
Yeah,
So, Steph,
absolutely.
there are so many people that need to hear these stories. So,
Oh, absolutely.
thank you so much
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
coming on
Well,
today.
thank you for having
So
me.
excited.
Well, nobody me. Thank you for having me.
Go, Steph.
It's been
Go,
fun.
Steph. Go, Steph.
Marty. Yeah, I encourage anybody. So I hope people really do that. I think you could do a whole series on people who are out there all over the place crocheting, and you know
I
what
would
it's like
love
for them.
I would love to. And listen, if anybody is interested in sharing their story as well, I am going to put a link to a form that you can fill out, and I'll be able to get with you and let's get your story heard. There's people that need to hear it.
Hmm.
I'll put that in the
Absolutely.
description below.
Absolutely.
All right, Steph,
All
thank you
right,
so
Marty.
much. Again,
Thank
I
you.
enjoy talking to you.
Oh man, I hope you blow up. I hope you go viral.
You're sweet.
So
You're sweet.
yeah,
Thank you.
I hope it does. You're a good person. You're good people.
You're awesome. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
you're welcome.